The number 6 player in the 2025 WNBA Draft will not be suiting up this season. Georgia Amoore, the star point guard from Virginia Tech and Kentucky, suffered a ACL injury during the 3rd day of training camp with the Washington Mystics. This is a heartbreaking thing that has happened. It's very frustrating. And sadly, this is becoming all too common for women basketball players. This is more than just one injury. And in this stream, we're going to talk about why this keeps happening in women's basketball. Okay? Okay. So, Georgia Amoore. This is someone who has gone through a journey, right? She's not your average rookie. She's a 5-year college vet. She's a leader. She's a fighter. She's a playmaker. And she's a 5'6" point guard from Australia. She started off her career at Virginia Tech, where she led the Hokies to her and Elizabeth Kitley, I should add, led the Hokies to their first ever Final Four. She finished it off her college career at Kentucky, where she followed her head coach, Kenny Brooks, and she put up the best numbers of her career. I'm talking 19.6 points a game, 6.9 assists per game. Again, the highest of her career so far, while putting in nearly 37 minutes a night. She was named the SEC Newcomer of the Year. She was a finalist for the Nancy Lieberman Award and one of only 3 players in the NCAA to log 2,300 plus points, 800 plus assists. Now, again, I said one of 3. She's joining alongside with Sabrina Ionescu and Caitlin Clark, who have also accomplished those feats. Guys, when we talk about Georgia Amoore, she was a durable player. She was elite in college basketball. And she was ready for what the WNBA had to offer. Here's the deal. The Mystics, they had 3 top 6 picks this year. That's very, very rare. And they drafted Sonia Citron at number 3, Kiki Ira-Finn at number 4, and Georgia Amoore at number 6. This team is in a complete revamp. They have a brand new coach, basically brand new roster. They're building through the draft, and in my opinion, they're kind of hoping that they won't be very good. So they continue to get lottery picks for the next 2 seasons, and then they're going to have a powerhouse team. I think they're trying to go through that sort of like Las Vegas Aces, or back when they were the San Antonio Superstars. But like they're trying to do that route where you're sort of building through the draft, and that's how you're going to be competitive. I think that's kind of what they're trying to do. And for Georgia, she was expected to, be sort of someone who can learn to play the point guard position in the WNBA. They drafted her for a reason. They wanted her to be the future point guard of this team. The plan was for her to compete at the point guard position, get some minutes, bring some energy, and learn how to play the point in the WNBA. And Coach Sidney Johnson, the former assistant coach for the Chicago Sky, might I add, he was like, hey, Georgia, she has energy for days. Her energy fuels the building, and other players like a Steph Dolson and Jaden Melbourne, they liked what Georgia Amoore had to offer in these first couple of days of training camp. And so, yeah, like she was not just a random piece that was drafted. She was someone who was going to make the roster. She was someone who was going to be the future floor general for this team. Maybe even get some time doing that in the present. But then came the unexpected news. The unexpected news came, and it kind of changed everything. On the 3rd day of training camp, Georgia Amoore tore her ACL during practice. This was the same week that she was set to make her preseason debut against the Indiana Fever. There is no date because it just happened. This just happened, so there's no date confirmed of when she will have surgery. No timeline given, but here's the reality, guys. ACL injuries mean around 9 to 12 months off the court. More towards that 12 probably than that 9. And barring a miracle, Georgia Amoore's rookie season is over before it even began. And this sucks, especially for a player who missed, I think, just 1 game her entire college career. This is a brutal blow. This sucks. This is not great. However, guys, I want to zoom out. I want to zoom out real quick. I want to zoom out because this injury is not just about Georgia. All right, zoom out. Georgia is not the only one, right? In the last couple of years, we have seen JuJu Watkins most recently tear her ACL, like a month or so ago in the NCAA tournament. Cameron Brink previously tore hers. Paige Bueckers tore hers. AZ Foot tore hers. Olivia Miles tore hers. And just recently during the WNBA offseason, both Nika Mule and Jordan Horston tore theirs. Nika when she was overseas in Europe playing basketball, and Jordan in Athletes Unlimited. These are all major players, all ACL tears. And guys, this is a pattern. This is not just a random one-off. This is a pattern, guys, because according to research in the British Journal of Sports Medicine, women are 3 to 6 times more likely to tear their ACL than men in similar sports. Why? Well, I'm going to talk about this more shortly, but there's a lot of factors, right? There's hormonal fluctuations. There is biomechanic differences, the hip and knee angles and how that differs from women to men. Landing mechanics, also training loads, recovery time has something to do with it as well as footwear and playing surfaces, not totally being designed for women's bodies. Like, this is not bad luck. This is a systemic biological. This is actually not a systemic. This is a biological issue. This is. Even FIFA realizes how big of an issue this is. So much so that FIFA has announced a year-long study looking into the links between ACL injuries and the menstrual cycle. Now, awkward thing to talk about during a live stream about women's basketball, but it's true. It's true. It's a thing that there supposedly is a link between the two, and that might have something to do with why women get ACL tears seemingly more often than men. And the awesome news about this study is, yes, it's being done by FIFA, the governing body of international soccer. The study and what comes out of it will be able to help women's basketball players as well. It's gonna be able to help. And also, this is long overdue. Long overdue. And with that being said, the WNBA has a role to play in this, because in my opinion, the WNBA and basketball bodies in general that relate to women, right? So the NCAA that govern the women's college basketball and whatnot, there is a reckoning that these institutions have on their hands. These injuries are devastating. Not only that, they're happening too frequently. It seems like the ACL injuries just keep increasing as the years go on. And it's too much to just chalk it up into coincidence. That sucks, but that's a coincidence. That's unlucky. She landed wrong or like whatever. But players are coming into the WNBA after long seasons. They're immediately entering training camp, and then they're jumping into a 40-plus game schedule. There is no real time to recover, no off-season buffer. And what we have seen is that there is some connection to fatigue and possibly these injuries. And unlike the NBA, many WNBA players go overseas just to make a living. That adds a little bit more wear and tear to their bodies. So there needs to be, overall, more investment in women's specific sports science, not sports science in general, because sports science in general a lot of times is looking at men. Women and men are different. Biologically, there is a difference. And so there needs to be specific investment on women sports science that focuses on primarily women's basketball, women's soccer. I think those are the two sports that seem to have the most ACL tears is women's basketball and women's soccer. More research needs to just be focused on that, And yes, possibly we may need to talk about more financial security. So that way players, when these things happen, there is some sort of cushion, some sort of thing that they can rely on while they rehab, because it seems to be an inevitability, not just a not a if this happens. This seems to more be like a when this happens. ... So where do we go from here? Where do we go? Well, first off, we root for Georgia hard. She is one of the most likable, hardworking, smart, young women basketball players that we have. She is going to bounce back, right? She's going to bounce back, but I think she just needs, when these injuries happen to players, they need our support as fans. They need our support. The Mystics are expected to support her through her recovery. And whether or not she's placed on the suspended list or not, I think she probably will be placed on the suspended list, or whether they keep her on the roster, her long-term future in DC is intact, right? She's going to be on the Washington Mystics for years to come. But the bigger picture that we all have to focus on is we have to keep pushing for change. These players deserve better. Their bodies deserve better. And fans, we deserve to see these stars thrive on the court instead of just sitting on the sidelines with a ACL injury that may be somewhat preventable. Not totally preventable, but as we do these specific studies, we will be able to see what it's possible that we can do, right? We have to do something. I'm saying we as the global we as in women's, people who are invested in women's sports. We have to do something. We have to, because this is too much to be a coincidence. Too much, right? Georgia's story is not over, at all, right? This is a gut punch to her, to lose her before she even started her first WNBA game. But the good thing about injuries, there comes recovery. And so Georgia Amoore will be back. I don't doubt that at all. And I'm wishing her a full and awesome recovery, a strong comeback, and what will hopefully be a very long, successful WNBA career. And for the rest of the basketball world, hey, let's stop treating these injuries like isolated incidents. Let's study them. Let's invest in them. Let's invest in solutions. And let's finally put women's sports science where it belongs, at the center of the conversation. So that's that story. I am working on a larger piece to dive deeper into the sports science of it all. So that will be probably segment 3 of tomorrow. That would be segment 3 of tomorrow's live stream. I will be covering the actual science of it, because there's like way more related to women's sports science that we've seen already, that's been put out there already, around why these players are getting injuries. And I'm going to talk about that in a future live stream tomorrow, actually. There's some other topics that I wanted to cover today, but I just couldn't fit it in. Like, I just could not fit it in to the time frame that we had. Those other stories include Dawn Staley, who had her statue unveiled at South Carolina. That's an awesome thing to talk about. I will be talking about that likely this weekend. It's just, I had that on the docket today, but then the Sarah Williams thing happened, the Georgia Amoore thing happened, Sanaya Rivers, and I just didn't have time. So my apologies for that. I will be talking about Dawn Staley tomorrow. I think that's going to be really, really fun.